Jail 8, number 19 by Yale Stewart. Children, welcome to gym class. We'll begin with dodgeball. Dodge! Hey everyone, you're watching another episode of Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. Here is today's comic, Prodigy, number 5, by Mark Millar, pronounced Mark Miller. I really like this book. I didn't so much at first. I thought it was a little cheeseball, but once I decided to just let go and roll with it, it reminds me of a good cheese like action movie from the 90s or early 2000s, where a lot of things just don't matter. You're just like, we're not going to think about the physics of this too much or whatever. Just for the sake of the script, things happen. It's just fun. That's kind of what this book reminds me of. Now, the reason I picked this book up, besides the resume of the writer who's done a lot of fantastic stuff, when I was a kid and just discovering comics, I got really into like superheroes and stuff, and used to do like role-playing games, played like Champions, Marvel superhero role-playing games. Oh no, go away. And I would start creating my own characters, and I would start imagining my own comic books and different things. And I came up with my own world, my own superhero world, and I tried to explain, why do characters have powers. One thing I didn't really ever like about Marvel or DC, and sometimes okay, but the way like characters had powers never like jived with me. Like, oh look, I'm an alien from another world, and because your sun is a different kind of sun, I have the power of a god. Okay. Or I got bit by a radioactive spider, and now I have like superhuman strength and all this. Like, what? No. Fantastic Four's got a cool one, the whole cosmic radiation thing. And some of the superheroes I like, Batman, of course. Well, he didn't really have powers, but he's kind of, his human potential is beyond extreme. Anyways, I'm kind of diverging on a tangent. So I came up with my own system, and because I was an X-Men fan and mutants and stuff, that was another thing. I thought mutants were a neat idea, but a little bit goofy. So I took a play off of that, and I came up with my idea that my world, these people with superpowers were called prodigies. And later on, I was dabbling with the idea of calling it savants instead, because a prodigy doesn't actually mean is what you think. I mean, it means what you think, but it's not as extreme. Like, it means you like learn something really fast. Like, oh, you learn to play this musical instrument really fast. You're a prodigy. Like, but a savant transcends like normal human levels. Anyways, this kind of reminded me of that. And in my universe, characters would be prodigies, and what I called prodigies. I was a kid. I didn't have full, anyways, and they would have their powers would be like, so, and they were all based on kind of not realistic, but things that were a little bit more believable. Like telekinesis is kind of believable if you believe that people have the power of the mind, can move things. Turning your body into flames, not quite. This, like, why would you, the idea of why would humanity evolve into, I can turn into fire. Obviously, a Human Torch doesn't do that. But, I'm saying? Like, a lot of mutant evolution things didn't make sense. But evolving to where you have, like, super intelligence, or you have telekinesis, or, you could see the future, whatever. Those things. Anyway, so Prodigy kind of caught my eye. Then I noticed the character was kind of along that same notion. Like, he would have fit right in my world with this, like, he's super... His intelligence is beyond normal human intelligence. And anyways, that's just a little history of why I got the book. And I've been really enjoying it from that level. Like, man, now that I've been reading this, like, this is something I wouldn't not as good of a writer as Mark Miller, but, this is like right in my wheelhouse, like what I envision my world to be like. And this character, Edison Crane, would fit right in to that world. Now, Edison Crane is, imagine Batman crossed over with Reed Richards with a super photographic memory. He can like just memorize, like he anything he sees just stores in his brain. And maybe he's even more extreme than that. He's kind of ridiculous, but it works for this book. So when we last left off, they had to get to this temple. He's trying to get these clues. And they got to this temple and there's terrorists. And now the U.S. Army is going to come bomb these ISIS goons. They got 3 minutes. And he's like, give me 90 seconds. I'm going to charge in there. I'm going to memorize everything. And then I'm going to jump out the window and you're going to catch me in the plane. And they're like, what? So they take off, and this is where we left off here. So he's like, just make sure you catch me when I jump off the roof. Really, dog? Really, dog? We have to time this very carefully. So he's like, what's he doing running into the temple where all the terrorists are? He needs to memorize everything on the walls before the Air Force drops the second bomb. So he's going in, and you can see him like, don't memorize. And at the same time, he's like fighting. You're just like, it's so ridiculous. But like I said, once you just okay, I'm going to just toss my suspension of disbelief, just boot out the window. Just let's just go along with the ride. It's fun. And he's just shooting these guys. Bam, bam. But how can he memorize an entire building? Because he's Edison Crane, of course. No disrespect to our pilot, Rachel, but you need to be flying that thing if we're really going to pull this off. Got it. So he's doing his thing. And the jet's coming in. And he's memorizing. You almost got everything you need? Almost. He's like, eyes wide open. He's discovered something. He's giving him directions, more fighting. Professor, what happened? Oh, knew it couldn't be that easy. Professor, what's going on? I've been hit, damn it, right through the axillary artery. And he's like, oh shit, what are we going to do? The plane's coming. And now here's the thing about he can do in his mind. Like, he literally has it's like a multi-core processor, to put it in computer terms. Like, he's got multiple sections of his mind that he can section off and like dedicate to different processes. That's really the key to his super intelligence. He's not just brilliant, but he can like parse off sections of his mind, and they just work autonomously. So they're coming in, and they come up with this ulterior plan. He's going to jump out this other window, and they got to come on the other side, except there's no door on the plane. What are you going to do? He's like, I'll figure it out. And he's running out the window, dive. In the last minute, he's like, you tilt the plane 45 degrees. And it's coming in, and of course, it grabs the little bracer bar of the wing. And you can just hear, if this were a movie, this is where the music kicks up. And the sails away. I can't see. Did we get him? We got him. And then Air Force coming in. The terrorists, of course, are getting their bomb and flying away. This is like Indiana Jones style adventure. And it's, like I said, if you just let your mind go and just roll with it, it's just good fun. And then he's on the operating table, and we're losing him. And he's still half conscious, and he's like, wait a second. How old is that surgeon over there? What? This procedure is blah, 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 blah. He's like talking about, he's like, that surgeon's like 6 years old, too young. I'll do this myself. You're like, oh, come on. But then he can't. And so they work on him. And in the meantime, when he's unconscious, he starts having all these little visions, and he's putting things together in his mind. And he wakes up 48 hours later. And it's like, thanks, doctor. And they're going the whole thing. And he ends up buying the hospital. That's this whole thing. He's like, wait, what's going on here? Your friend just bought the hospital. He's moving cardiology and neurology down to the same floor. What? She comes in. Professor, I don't even know you were awake. Sorry, I've been awake for hours. I just need a little more space to work, to upload all the data. He's just writing this all down. So she's like, should you be out of bed? And he's explaining, like, I figured out their plan. And he puts it all together, and he explains to her about how there's an alternate Earth. And on that Earth, it's just like theirs, but the humans on that planet wasted all the resources and burned it all. And now they're looking for a new place to go. And, of course, they're ruled by this evil ruler. What's his name? Cush, their king, is planning to do exactly the same to our world. Because, of course, those humans never learn their lesson. They're like, oh, we just destroyed a planet, let's keep doing it. Like, here's another thing. You destroyed their planet, except you came up with all this advanced technology. I don't know, how did that all work? Again, don't ask questions. Just keep reading. And they explained how they had to send one person over first. They're trying to build a bridge between the planets. They had to send one person over first, which is his son. And this is the part that I really liked. The son is named Nimrod, and he comes over in one ship, and it took all this resources just to even do this, except without the bridge, the effect was enormous. So the Prince Nimrod was alone when he crossed the dimensions, and his spacecraft went spiraling backwards through the time stream. He ended up in the ancient world, lost in Babylon with nothing to work and no means of contacting his father. So he shows up, right? So, of course, to the ancient Babylonian times, this guy's like a god. So Nimrod from the Bible, apparently, here we go. And then we got the Tower of Babel. What I love, when I was saying this is the part I love when writers take real things in the world that don't have 100% complete explanation. Or there are holes to it or whatever, and then they fill it in with fiction. So, in this case, the Tower of Babel was actually created by Nimrod, and it was going to be a bridge. He only had primitive tools, so they couldn't actually do it. And then he's explaining, now they have it, and all these years, it's actually already built. We have it right here, and it's the Large Hadron Collider that's in Europe, which really exists. I don't know if you remember when they turned this thing on, they thought they could open a black hole. It was a bizarro event. Most people weren't really paying attention, but it was a scary time. It was like, wait a second, what? You just turned on what? Fortunately, everything worked out fine. It's called the Brotherhood of the Dragon, has been secretly plotting, so Nimrod obviously dies. He's not alive. And he's explaining, we have to go to the public with this, Rachel. The longer we leave it, the higher the risk of their armies will just teleport here. You sure you got everything, Professor? Please, I'm hardly a man who's careless with details. Plot twist. Bow. No, but you're very careless with the company you keep. Uh-oh. And then the villain reveals himself. I'm not quite as clever as you thought, Francis. Hello, Edison. Thanks for finding the missing blueprints for us. We can finally complete our wonderful machine now. Very Indiana Jones here, if you remember. Oh, Dr. Jones, what was once yours is now mine. And he's like, oh no. No more aborted attacks from the other Earth. No more burned up rocket ships. And he just basically completed their plans for him. Now we can get things started. To be concluded. So there's one more issue left. Holy shit, you're going to resolve everything in one issue? That's going to be crazy. But so far, it's been a wild ride. I'm enjoying it. That's Prodigy number 5. You can't really go wrong with Mark Millar. Even when he's just... I don't want to say this is phoned in, but it's definitely not his inspired work, right? This is just... It's still better than 90% of comics, right? He's one of those rare talents, and he's got it. He's hugely rich, sold off his company to Netflix. I mean, for a reason. So, I enjoy this book. I didn't get Magic Order. I don't really like miniseries. Normally I would, but this, like I told you in the beginning, there's a reason. This one kind of drew to me. So, I enjoy it. If you're enjoying it, tell me below. It's probably worth picking up. This is something I could definitely see being made into a movie or TV series. I don't think this one will. Maybe. Netflix already has a show called The Order. I watched it first season because I thought it was this. And it's clearly not. And I'm like, how are you going to do this show now? Because the show that they have, The Order, is about magicians, modern day. Like, it, if you didn't, whatever. Prodigy. Enjoyed it. Thumbs up. If you buy it, move the needle. You know what to do. You put move the needle. I bought this because Ash recommended it. Put the people who made the book, so you could say, we got to tell the industry what we're buying, what we like, and we have to spread word of mouth. I don't say that enough. Remind you guys, if you like comic book, if you think there's something really good out there that should be a success, is like an example of what we want in the industry, promote it. Get on Twitter. Tell your friends. Tell your friends to tell friends. There's no advertising anymore. You know, there's no commercials for comics. This is like a dying industry. Word of mouth is huge. And if you could spread, you know, you get a person to buy a comic book or two people to buy a comic book, and each of those guys each get two people to buy a comic book, you can change the direction and you can change careers, and you can get low-selling books like Hawkman, hashtag read Hawkman, which is selling a quarter of what it should be selling. Get people to read books. If you see people tweeting about comics that are good, retweet that. Right? Expand that audience. Most people, their tweets, if you're a regular Joe, you might hit 100 people. But if all those 100 people all retweet, now it's in thousands and thousands of people are seeing it. This is important. So I don't want to preach to you too long, but consider that. It's something that we easily can forget. Word of mouth. It's important. Take care.